750,000 to 1 million metric tons of dense volcanic basalt. That is the verified mass of Nan Madol, an architectural anomaly in the remote waters of the Western Pacific that defies modern engineering models. The sheer mass of Nan Madol makes it the heaviest archaeological ruin in the Pacific Ocean, effortlessly surpassing the combined weight of the towering Moai on Easter Island. For decades, pop history narratives have comfortably labeled this site the Venice of the Pacific, portraying it as a deliberately engineered floating metropolis designed for aquatic transport and serene canal navigation. But recent geological data has completely shattered this timeline, revealing a terrifying reality that mainstream historians are struggling to integrate into the official record. Radiocarbon dating of localized mangrove sediments proves conclusively that during its primary construction phase around the 12th century, the relative sea level was nearly 3 feet lower than it is today. The architects of this civilization did not build a floating city on the water. They constructed a staggering, terrestrial fortress of solid stone on a dry coral shelf, only to watch helplessly as severe tectonic subsidence slowly dragged their entire empire underwater. To understand the impossibility of this site, we must strip away the romanticized myths and look strictly at the forensic geology and the structural engineering. The complex consists of 92 artificial islets spread across an 18 square kilometer lagoon. The foundational footprint is staggering. The primary foundation boulders alone, particularly those anchored at the Panui Islet, weigh upwards of 90 tons each. On top of these massive footings, builders stacked tens of thousands of columnar basalt logs in a complex header and stretcher configuration. This is a massive log cabin style of masonry executed without a single drop of mortar, relying entirely on gravity, friction, and the immense sheer mass of the igneous rock to maintain structural integrity against the relentless ocean. Walls at the central tomb structure, known as Nan Duwas, still tower 25 feet into the air. Achieving this vertical lift presents an immediate logistical nightmare that defies our understanding of ancient capabilities. Earthen ramps, which are the standard academic explanation for megalithic lifting in antiquity, are physically impossible in this specific environment. The man-made islets simply do not have the footprint to support the necessary displacement, angle, and weight of a compacted ramp capable of elevating a 5 to 10 ton basalt column to a height of 25 feet. A ramp of that massive size would have instantly crushed the underlying coral foundation and collapsed directly into the ocean. Furthermore, modern X-ray fluorescence analysis has conclusively traced the origin of these specific basalt columns. They were absolutely not quarried on site. The chemical signatures perfectly match the main shield-building volcanic stage of Pohnpei, located primarily in the Sokis and U districts. This is a staggering 25 kilometers away, situated on the exact opposite side of the island. To achieve the verified mass of the Nan Madol complex, a highly localized population estimated at no more than 25,000 people under the Sodelur dynasty would have had to quarry, transport, and perfectly place an average of 2,000 tons of basalt every single year for several centuries continuously. They achieved this entirely without the invention of the wheel, without any draft animals, and completely without metal tools. We are looking at an artificial footprint of nearly 1 million tons, dragged across miles of water and placed with absolute geological precision. Yet modern science cannot explain how a single one of these monolithic logs was hoisted into place. Here is what makes Nan Madol more than a construction anomaly. The builders did not just stack basalt, they engineered a living hydraulic system, one that still partially functions today. The channels between the artificial islands are not random. They are precisely aligned to the tidal flow of the Pacific, creating a self-regulating flushing mechanism that draws clean seawater in and expels wastewater out on a 12-hour cycle. This is not accidental geometry. The channel widths narrow progressively from the outer perimeter inward, accelerating tidal pressure exactly where the aquaculture ponds are positioned. That is a calculated gradient. Someone designed it. Those ponds held fish. Deliberate, managed, sustained aquaculture, feeding a population of elite priests and rulers who never needed to leave the complex. The entire floating city, and that is the only accurate description for a structure sitting across 92 artificial islands above a submerged coral shelf, was engineered as a closed ecosystem. Food production, water circulation, and waste removal, all solved by the geometry of the basalt placement itself. Modern hydraulic engineers who have surveyed the site cannot identify the design parameter used to calculate those channel gradients. There is no surviving tool, no inscription, no model, just the geometry. And the geometry works. That is not primitive construction, that is systems engineering, floating in the middle of the Pacific, 800 years before the Renaissance. If you have never heard of Nan Madol before this video, subscribe. This channel finds the sites that mainstream history skips. Could a localized population using only stone tools and palm ropes truly orchestrate this level of hydroengineering and the transport of 1 million tons of rock? Or does this evidence point to an entirely different, lost method of mechanical science? Let me know your stance in the comments below. Is this an accepted historical marvel or an undeniable structural impossibility? We are not just looking at heavy stones stacked in a lagoon. We are looking at an empire that calculated ocean pressure and moved millions of pounds of volcanic rock across the sea, only to be defeated by the Earth's crust itself. The true tragedy and mystery of Nan Madol lies in the ground beneath it. The island of Pohnpei is suffering from severe, localized tectonic subsidence. The entire landmass is actively sinking into the Earth's crust. The Saudeleur engineers clearly understood their environment. They utilized the natural rigidity of the coral reef as a stabilizing foundation, deliberately laying out their tidal canals to act as hydrodynamic shock absorbers against ocean swells. They knew the environment was hostile, but they could not stop the geological clock. Over the centuries, the land beneath their invincible fortress inevitably gave way. As the relative sea level rose and the tectonic plates sank, the dry, terrestrial courtyards and causeways flooded. The highly advanced subterranean channels became permanently submerged and choked with debris. The meticulously planned city was slowly, methodically swallowed by the Pacific Ocean. The ruins of Nan Madol are not the remnants of a tranquil floating paradise. They are the scars of a grueling, multi-generational war against a sinking continent. Here at Ancient Chronicles HD, our mission is to bypass the mainstream myths and focus strictly on the verifiable anomalies that challenge our understanding of human history. We rely on hard geological data, forensic archaeology, and structural engineering to uncover the absolute truth behind the world's most enigmatic and forbidden sites. If you are committed to exploring the impossible architecture of our past and demanding real answers, subscribe to the channel right now and join our dedicated community of researchers. We follow the data no matter where it leads. The archaeological record provides forensic proof of their desperate, highly organized struggle to maintain their society. On the specialized islet of Idehd, researchers excavated a perfectly stratified waste mound, standing over 8 feet tall, composed almost entirely of sea turtle remains. This continuous, unbroken stratification of bone and ash proves that a highly disciplined, centralized society remained fully operational here for hundreds of years. They executed precise religious operations, sacrificing sea turtles in an unbroken chain of tradition, even as their world slowly drowned around them. The sheer volume of the remains demonstrates a society that refused to collapse, maintaining strict logistical order while the ocean crept higher up their fortress walls year after year. Instead of a floating marvel, we are looking at a sunken tragedy. While the tectonic sinking perfectly explains the eventual abandonment of the site, it does not solve the fundamental, glaring paradox of its creation. We have verified the timeline, we have chemically traced the distant quarry sites, and we have modeled the brilliant tidal engineering. But the core mechanism of transport remains an absolute void in the academic record. There is no known wooden vessel from the 12th century Pacific capable of supporting a 90-ton basalt boulder. The idea of massive outrigger canoes acting as floating cranes to carefully lower these blocks into precise alignments defies basic physics. The extreme point load of a single foundation stone would instantly fracture the timber and violently capsize the vessel. Navigating these hypothetical overloaded rafts through unpredictable ocean swells, negotiating the treacherous and shallow barrier reefs, and delicately placing the heavy stones is an operational impossibility without modern machinery. They moved 750,000 tons of rock over 25 kilometers of water, and modern science simply does not possess the physics models to explain how they survived the journey. The collapse of the Sodelur dynasty was a slow, agonizing defeat at the hands of a changing planet, despite their immense engineering prowess and unbroken societal discipline. The real question is not how they moved the stones. The real question is, who taught them to think like engineers? If a massive stone fortress couldn't save the elite rulers of the Pacific from a collapsing environment, what happened to the greatest empires of the Mediterranean when their highly advanced systems failed? The evidence of mystery invaders leaving erased empires behind is hiding in plain sight, and this video on the Bronze Age collapse, the mystery invaders who deleted civilization, is the closest anyone has gotten to the answer. Click the video on your screen right now and let's uncover the truth. Thanks for watching Ancient Chronicles HD. Stay curious.